I don't talk just to hear myself speak, ladies and gentlemen. All right, and especially for the purpose of this particular video here. Okay. Purposeful, calculated, and probably disturbing for some viewers. Because it's definitely disturbing for me. All right, we're going to take a look real quick at a video that I made 2 years ago, February of 2023. So 2 seasons ago, actually. And talk about the indictment that should be placed upon those who are responsible for the offense and the scheme right now. And then talk about why nothing has changed. Okay, we're back to square one yet again. Okay, and the reason that we're going to hyper focus on the offense while the defense is, yes, equally, if not a bigger problem. I don't think the defense can be fixed. Okay, not without radical change via personnel. Essentially just kind of embodying, for lack of a better term, the all-in mantra that you tried to sell the fan base on 6-7 months ago after the season ended in 2023. Okay. The defense is probably too far gone at this point. You can take baby steps if you throw a few complimentary picks at the defensive tackle position and maybe help out your run D. But until then, and even if not, you're going to continue seeing the same thing that just happened last week and the week before that. Teams just exploiting your front seven because they're just bigger and more physical and more well coached than you are. Okay. You can't fault Mike Zimmer necessarily. It's only been 3 games. The learning curve was always going to be there. That was covered. What was also covered, and where I was clearly wrong, was that the MO all offseason was that it's not hard to be better running the football. It's not hard to be better stopping the run. Well, clearly for this team, it was, and they're now worse than they were a year ago. Let's run this intro, and then we're going to look at a video, and then I'm going to explain why this is just blatant malpractice. So here we are. And like I said, once again, viewer discretion is advised. Because we're still here having the same discussions 2 years later, 2 seasons later, I should say. Okay. So I'm having a discussion for John Owning. I kind of made a promise to him. He said somebody should do an investigation upon this. And it was ironic to me and funny enough that I had already actually begun this investigation, once again, a year and a half ago. So
there's just, you got no answers.
The interception.
Anyone want to guess where the sticks are? Right there. Sticks. Help your quarterback out, man. You got no answers.
The interceptions in 2022 were a symptom, not the virus. Before we talk about why the offense is about to be better, we first got to understand where Kellen Moore went wrong. He's not the only guilty party, but it was time for a new influence in Dak Prescott's ear. Someone who didn't used to be his teammate, and someone from outside the Jason Garrett coaching tree. QBs thrive on that fresh perspective. Kellen was actually good for Dak in a lot of ways. He helped Dak evolve as a pocket passer. My issue was, over time, he started to make Dak predominantly that. Quarterbacks tend to develop in phases. Dak is entering phase 3, which is essentially balancing multiple different philosophies. He evolved as a pocket passer because he had to, but you can't master phase 3 as a quarterback if your coordinator takes away all the other stuff that you used to be good at before you evolved. Things like the play action pass and motion at the snap in particular. Very quarterback friendly things all went way down. And then the quarterback run game and the running back screen game completely went away. You seem to really struggle blending the running game with the passing game. Meaning, like, when you're lining up to run a play, whether you're going to run or you're going to throw, can you look the same? We couldn't get Tony Pollard involved as a receiver, and we couldn't get away from the vertical stem and stop passing concepts that only work if you have more than one receiver that can separate. Remember, Amari Cooper's not here anymore. Against good teams, if you ask your quarterback to consistently force tight windows to receivers that can't separate, and he's not perfect, you lose. So how do things get better? with the new West Coast offense? Well, now your play caller with 30 years of experience gets to work alongside an offensive line coach and an offensive coordinator who see things the exact same way that he does. That was not the case under Kellen Moore. Your motion rate at the snap goes up. The quarterback run rate goes up, which gives you a numbers. Just to clarify what I mean by where I was wrong, as you can see in the heading of the title of this tweet that I just posted today. Okay, readdressing and revisiting these takes from a year and a half ago. I was right about what went wrong, but I was clearly wrong about who would be coming in to fix it. So just making sure we're all on the same page there. Advantage. And the play action passing rate also goes up. You're going to see the running back screen game come back. And you're also going to see more quick passes. Those two things sort of mimic the security of running the football. It's like safer. It's just essentially giving your playmakers more room to work with. Thank God we're finally going to start to see receivers running across the field and stretching defenses horizontally with mesh concepts on drags and crossers. And that was the premise of the project that I posted at halftime of the Ravens game. Okay, the horizontal element of the Cowboys offense has disappeared completely and inexplicably. All right. Actually, it's not inexplicable because you can actually explain it with what's happening to them on the ground. And that's yet another indictment. Mike McCarthy can't figure out how to effectively run the football. He can't figure out how to marry the pass game to the run game. These are all things that I'm talking about here. Okay, one of the ways that you force teams into man coverage, obviously you got to be able to run the football. If you want to see the things that invites more tacklers into the box, right, which allow you now to get some more of those free releases via the bunch formations and just the rub routes and the shallow crossers, the drag concepts, things like that. Getting your receivers the football in space and on the move and not just stopping to the sticks, which we're going to see here just yet again. Okay, 2024 Cowboys Ravens, rinse repeat, Twilight Zone. It's maddening to me. It's frustrating for the fans, and rightfully so. You know, they can't stay out of their own way, and they can't help their quarterback out. If you can't help your quarterback out, then you can't win football games, because this defense clearly is just outmanned. They don't have the personnel. The personnel on offense is there. We know that this is a top 5 offense over the course of the last, 2, 3, 4 years. But now we're finding out that most of that is due to the quarterback saving you, covering your ass. And this trend just continues over and over and over and over again. Dak Prescott dropped back 55 times in the Ravens game. That was more than the total attempts of Lamar Jackson and Derek Carr combined in the previous 2 weeks. That's how bad you are. Okay. The easy buttons of offense are not being clicked. And the same issues continue to plague this offense. This helps with yak tremendously, because your receivers a lot more often are not going to be standing still when they catch the ball. They'll actually be moving.
See these vertical lines? Almost every route the Cowboys run is off this vertical stem.
These are all very quarterback-friendly things. It's not that difficult to understand why it works. The truth about that. So there you have it. Once again, I mentioned this to John. This investigation will be ongoing. This is what we will continue to track. You've got to get motion at the snap. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get this film pulled up from this past week's game against the Ravens. And you'll see here, I've got it filtered. So Dak Prescott is the highlighted player, obviously. Passing situations, pre-snap motion. Now, you'll see, now that I've shared in this tab for you, you can see there are 15 plays here, okay? Highlighted by my cursor. If we scroll down, there's a total of 15 plays. Out of 55 dropbacks, unacceptable. All right, but what we're going to find out is some of the plays that get lumped into this pre-snap motion are really just still making you stagnant, because yes, you're technically motioning a receiver or a pass catcher or a skill position player to a different particular spot within the formation before the ball is snapped. But oftentimes with this team, as you're going to see, the pre-snap motion that gets charted is still it's technically checking that box, yes, but it's still stagnant. Guys are standing still. And why is it important to not be standing still at the snap? For a few different reasons. I've covered this literally 2 handfuls of times at least, and within the last few months. But it's something that I constantly reference because it's so clear. It's clear as day. The best offenses in football, this is what they do, right? And for example, let me read you another tweet here that I want people to understand. I want y'all to hear me. Because I don't know, like we're going to sit here and we're going to nitpick and critique. Oh, the two rookie offensive linemen, absolute liabilities. Nobody other than CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson can get open. Absolute liabilities of the pass catching position. We have the worst running back room in the National Football League. Yeah, all those things might be true. Okay, but they are being exacerbated by an archaic offense that is not doing anything to help them out. Okay, please listen to this. And this is in response to some delegation between Foots the King and Aisha Morrison, two members of this space, this Cowboys sports media content production space that I have a lot of respect for. Okay, so they're kind of talking about, as you can see, if you just search this up, it's on my phone. So anyway, neither here nor there. Foots the King says, I'm not here for the Mike McCarthy blame. This is now Dak's 4th offensive coordinator. Some of these excuses got to stop. Players have to play better. The quarterback not exempt. That's true. Dak Prescott played like hot garbage in that game. But once again, as we're going to continue to see, okay, your quarterback can single-handedly take things over and go hurry up and just march up and down the football field in the 4th quarter on a potential 28-6 comeback victory. And he can do it with relative ease. But when they're trying to play within the structure of the system, it doesn't work. All right. Here's my response. Scheme can make life easy on everyone, but it doesn't. Not here in Dallas. So we're forced to look at the micro when the macro is staring us right in the face. Scheme is how the Rams can be down their top 2 receivers, 2 all-pro caliber players, by the way, and 3 offensive linemen and still beat the Niners. Both teams were battered, yes, but the same thing happened in week 1. Puka goes down and their front gets completely deleted. Sean McVay, Stafford and company still somehow kept them in the game versus the other NFC North Star and erased a 2-score deficit. They should have won that game, guys. The Rams and the Lions, week 1. Very easily could have won that game, okay? This Dallas team, on the other hand, needs 5 all-pro linemen to play perfect and has an all-world receiver, an MVP caliber quarterback, and a soon-to-be Pro Bowl or more tight end, but that's somehow still not even close to being enough. Why? Because A, you can't run the football, and 2, because you can't do things within the structure of your offense. They're not installed to make life easier on the quarterback and on the skill players that I'm referencing. Brandon Cooks is running stops. Brandon Cooks is not a stop, jump ball, contested catch player. He is a space, speed, route running technician, a guy that can change direction without slowing down still, as well as anybody, or as any number 2 receiver in this league. He can be a problem for you if you utilize him correctly. The Cowboys do not. That's going to be an entire video dedicated, just to itself. Okay, I don't have time for that right now. My 9 to 5 is in there napping and probably going to wake up any second now. Might already be awake, so I'm trying to get through this. The quarterback took the reins after the bye last year, and the offense took off. Look into that a little bit too. If you think that what I'm saying is just a bunch of BS, okay? Fact check me. Google that. And you tell me who's wrong. We shouldn't be back to square one again. And this is if you're sensing the frustration in my voice, okay? That's why Mike McCarthy should not be here much longer. If he can't get this right, which once again, he does have the personnel to do it. Now, will he? Because we've been in this situation before. We've corrected it. Number 1 offense in football last year, despite being in year 1 in a brand new system. And now here we are back to square one again. Here's a couple of these plays. You guys watch. At snap motion, get Brandon Cooks widening the formation, having that's exit motion. That's actually I really love that. I think we need to see a lot more of that. I've been saying that for years, but just no threat whatsoever. Defense triggers almost instantly, gets downhill. Here we go, another stop route to Brandon Cooks. Don't know why we're throwing that. And this is one of those plays I'm talking about where it's pre-snap motion technically, but look, let's hit the P real quick. And the N. So you can tell Hunter Lipke just motioned back into the backfield next to Dak from, I guess I'm assuming the slot, the H-back position that he was previously occupying. Brandon Cooks widens out his split a little bit, but guess what? Once again, stagnant. Everybody's stopping pre-snap. And in case I didn't allude to this earlier and elaborate just enough to get you to understand, okay, what pre-snap, what at-snap motion and misdirection do, okay, number one, it's leverage, okay? You're getting a head start, creating separation behind the line of scrimmage unimpeded before the ball is even snapped, okay? Number two, it's giving the quarterback tells. Are they in man? Are they in zone? And he's getting a better feel for alignment and maybe getting guys to, like we talked, like one of the things that we were excited about with Mike Zimmer was the roll coverages. Okay. He can sort of get an idea of who is going to start and end where as far as the coverage is concerned. So it's giving the quarterback information. And number three, it's forcing communication. Okay. Guys, if you don't have a defense with continuity and with quality, I guess, experience or whatever, just understanding what their roles and responsibilities, a good communicator in the middle, like the Ravens clearly do with Roquan Smith and others, but you can get an advantage in that regard. If guys can't communicate and process what's happening quickly enough to be in the proper position, that's another advantage. And I guess number four is, we'll just leave it right there. Okay. But I mean, so look, run this back. Y'all tell me, where are the easy buttons? Okay. Not only are you flat-footed, probably should have hit Schoonmaker there. Yes, he's wide open, but still, where is your release valve? Where is your insurance? Where is your check down option? Okay. That's still a tight window throw if he's trying to hit. Well, that's really not a tight window. That's open by the NFL standards. I'm not even going to lie. But clearly, Dak, just, you can tell he's uncomfortable in the pocket for reasons, for obvious reasons. Okay. The O-line protection hasn't been good in pass pro. And yeah, there's a couple rookies up front that are struggling, that are going through the ringer right now, being tossed into the fire. But one of the reasons why I was so unconcerned about that is because I expected some of the easy buttons and the nuances built within this offense to continue to pick up where we left off down the stretch. And I expected there to have been concerted efforts to figure out how to run the football, but we're still doing this gun run stuff from, yet again, a standstill position. Dak under center, condense the formation, 2-3 tight ends out there if that's what you got to do. And then you can go 2-man route combos and simplify the read, but deeper drops, with Dak all in the move. Change the pocket, roll the pocket, change the platform, make it easier on these guys, as opposed to just a traditional 3, 5, and 7-step drop with receivers who can't separate, and you have nothing built into your system to help them separate. What helps separation? Bunch formations, natural rubs from that, because it's creating traffic. Okay, just like Trayvon Diggs announcing to the world via the media before the Saints game, going into the Clint Kubiak, once again, a Kyle Shanahan system guy. Why does Trayvon Diggs, in his direct words, his quote, why is it annoying to play against those style of offenses? For the reasons I just said, because DBs, they're not only they're having to track their receiver, but they're having to navigate through a ton of traffic, and things are happening so much faster because the formation is condensed. All the splits from the receivers are tightly contested, or they're tightly squeezed. Squeeze splits is what you'll hear Bill Belichick refer to them as, and others. There's a few different ways to phrase it, but I mean, where is the check down option? Have like Brandon Cooks needs to be the guy. Like, you've got 3 three verticals to the left side of the formation. You should have Brandon Cooks coming across the middle on a drag opposite that. Put somebody in a bind. Instead, we're just having to force tight windows. I mean, when's the last time? I was asking this question just to get more context for folks who don't understand, right? When's the last time you've seen a Cowboys ball carrier or pass catcher running with 10 yards of green grass anywhere around him? And yet we seem to see that. I don't know why this went back to the first play. We seem to see that stuff multiple times a game for whoever's playing against us. And then the best offenses in football are doing it all the time. Now, this is a beautiful play design right here. So you've got at snap motion, misdirection, and play action all in one. This is easy button 101 for a quarterback. QB's best friend. Let's watch that again. So you got two tight ends, two receivers. Okay, this is 12 personnel here. Okay, one running back, two tight ends. That's where the one and the two come from. You got Jake Ferguson and Hunter Lipke down there to the left side, outside of Tyler Guyton. Jalen Tolbert in motion across the formation. Dak knows it's man coverage. Okay, got everybody right there in the box, so that's going to simplify the read. It's going to create more space on the back end. It's another thing that I want to make clear. Why horizontal element? Okay, I touched on it in the video that I showed and teased this with at the beginning. But it's like it's widening the lens for the quarterback. It's expand so he can see separation horizontally. Separation is difficult to see vertically. It's all about depth perception, right? It's just the way that it is. It's physics, but. Look, I mean, this is just a beautiful concept. And so it's motion pre-snap and at snap, you got misdirection. So everybody's flowing, thinking that Rico Dowdle's got the football, but here comes CeeDee Lamb back across the formation. That's beautiful. Gives Dak space, and Will Skywalker-Steele did a fantastic breakdown. He talked about the position that you see CeeDee Lamb in right here off of these play-action boots, why in recent history for the Cowboys, they haven't been as successful. Yes, they're trying to do these things, but they're not executing it, and they're not building it and structuring it correctly. Remember the sweat pick six to begin the game against the Eagles? I think it was 2 years ago. This is the exact same play design, but there wasn't CeeDee Lamb motioning and misdirecting at the snap coming across the formation to occupy that edge, if memory serves. And so, Dak proceeded to actually go 24-24 after that pick and put 40 points on at the time, the second best pass defense in the league in Philly after that play. That was 2022, but this is beautiful. So it gives Dak space. So now there's a little bit there's a QB run element here. He can tuck it and make positive yards if nobody's open, if it's perfectly covered. But watch Hunter Lipke. So there's this term called break to daylight that Texas fans will be familiar with who study Coach Sarkisian's offensive scheme and are just kind of in the know. Hunter Lipke, right? If you expand this, look at the 50-yard line where Lipke's breaking. So this is technically the route stem. I guess it's what he's been instructed to do. This is the playing within the structure of the play here. Now, if this is CeeDee Lamb and not Dak Prescott, I imagine there's probably an option for those two, for CeeDee just to break to daylight. So break to daylight is the terminology that Sark likes to reference all the time. So it's less timing based. Especially when you're in play action, right? Because the quarterback's got just more room to operate and navigate, and he can see the field from a much different perspective. He can see the full field. So that could have been a touchdown if Lipke just continues to break this way. I mean, he's got Kyle Hamilton right here. He's desperately trying to play catch up, but that's because in the run game, right, or at the formation, he thinks that Hunter Lipke is the guy that's supposed to be blocking. And usually it's Jake Ferguson running that route. So he kind of just keys in on that. That's the Cowboys' quote unquote tendency. So he thinks Lipke's going to be blocking and sort of cracking, sealing that edge the same way that you see Jake Ferguson right there. But that's not what happens, right? So you can do those things a lot more often, and you can force defenses to overcommit to the run when you can actually threaten them to run it, right? And it opens up everything. Instead, the Cowboys can't ever get man coverage, because teams just dropping that too high, the split safety look that what's his Johnson wants to eliminate from the NFL game. But teams just sit back and 7, sometimes 8-man drop coverage with 2 or 3 high safeties and say, "Hey, Dak, go ahead and beat us. We know we can play a light box, and you still can't run it on us," because the Cowboys have proven that they can't. All right. And so I just wanted to show one more thing before I get out of here because my 9 to 5 just woke up. I think I can hear in the other room. I hope this is I'm making this clear. And like I said, subscribe for more because there's going to be a lot more where this came from. But the last thing I wanted to share with y'all before I go is this right here. Let me exit out of this. Sorry, y'all. Right here. My guy, Matt O, if I can find it. Here we go. Per Next Gen Stats, none of the Cowboys receivers met the league average of 2.96 yards of separation per route run. Okay. Brandon Cooks with a measly 0.86 yards. That's, if you do the math, that's the average receiver in the league is separating at a rate 2 times that. Okay. But why? And once again, it's like what I'm going to tell you guys about. I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to highlight. I'll dedicate its own project to it if I need to get y'all to stop with the ignorant takes on Brandon Cooks, who is just being used completely incorrectly. All right. The reason why you see in those numbers from Brandon Cooks is because you're asking him to do the wrong things. Okay. I'll save some of that for a later video. Jalen Brooks here, 1.16 yards of separation. Jalen Tolbert, 2.06 yards of separation, still almost a full yard below league average. And CeeDee Lamb with 2.1. Okay. But once again, the reason why I'm using this here as ammo from Matt O does fantastic work, by the way. Great follow on Twitter if you want to stay in the know on all things Cowboys. But it's because those are the easy buttons, or it's the lack of the easy buttons that are helping receivers separate. Okay. And on top of that, it's the double-edged. It's really not double-edged. It's just the double whammy that you can't run the football. So you can't separate, especially when teams are just zone coveraging you to death. It does not work. It will not work. And this team, with as much talent as they still have on the offensive side of the ball, still early, right? Once Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe settle in, it's going to be fun. At least assuming that they can correct and rewrite their wrongs yet again after the bye week, when they can get back to the drawing board and Dak Prescott can say, "Hey, I'm going to take it from here," just like he did last year. They'll be able to put points on the board, but it's not going to be efficient enough. It's not going to help their defense enough. They're not going to be able to play possession football, especially against the well-coached teams in this league. And it's not going to work in the postseason if you can't run the football. We already know how this ends if they don't solve that problem. Okay. But the passing game portion of this, like I said, it's probably going to come around just because that's how good your quarterback is. But everything else is going to require divine intervention to keep from just stubbing their toe, doing the same old thing, beating the same dead horse over and over and over again. Okay. This is blatant self-destruction from the offensive coaching staff. It is blatant. We'll call it arrogance, but we'll also call it just willful ignorance on behalf of the Joneses to not go and get a guy like DJ Reader that I was calling for in the first wave of free agency, and instead just trying to plug holes. And once again, I bought in. I thought that Linval Joseph and Jordan Phillips could be better than what you had last year with your top 2 one-tech body types on your roster of Jonathan Hankins and Mozzie Smith. I thought that it would be a very realistic possibility that Mozzie Smith would now be your 3rd best one-tech body type as opposed to your 2nd. To me, that's an upgrade. If all those guys are kind of rotationally spelling each other. That clearly was wrong. Okay. That's on me. I'll own that. I've already owned the other part about not being difficult to run the ball better and not being difficult to stop the run better. Okay. I saw the physicality and the effort on defense. Okay. They just can't It's different from the offense because they don't have the personnel on the defensive interior to be better than what they are currently. The offense doesn't have that excuse. They're in year 2 now, the same system with largely the same personnel. Yes, Tyler Guyton is a downgrade in pass pro from Tyron Smith. Okay, we knew that was going to be the case, but we didn't know that the offense was going to go backwards to its archaic, stagnant pre-snap ways. All right, I've said all that needs to be said. Look for me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and of course YouTube, where you see me right here at the Lando Show. Much more where this stuff came from, and a lot of exciting things to come as well. Some announcements that will be made here very soon. I love y'all, and as always, remember, prayer changes things, and the war is already won. Talk to you soon. Love you.